Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Kustas, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Hello. Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Kustas, and I am so excited to be here with you today. And I really wanted to talk about something very real, something I know so many of us are wrestling with, whether we're whispering it in our prayer time, maybe you're journaling about it, maybe late at night you're tossing and turning over it, or you might even just be carrying something in silence while we are moving through our everyday lives. And what I am referring to are hard decisions, scary decisions, the kind of choices that feel like everything could shift if you just said yes or if you said no. And I'm really talking about all of the things. I'm talking about if it's a big pivot or maybe it's just a simple boundary. What I want to do today is I want to walk you through the emotional layers of making a hard decision and what it looks like to move forward even when we are scared. Because let me tell you, I'm in it right now. I'm not just sharing this from hindsight, I'm sharing this from the middle of a moment that I am going through in real time. And that is why I felt like I've got to come on and talk about this because I know that I've been in this position before. I know that on a daily, women are in these positions to make a hard decision. Again, whether it's big or small, we're in it, right? So I know for me that in midlife, decisions hit differently. Now, we have spent so much of our lives. So, no matter what age you're at, 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever that looks like for you, we have spent much of our lives making decisions for other people, right? So, we've made decisions for our kids, we've made decisions for our partners, maybe even your bosses or in community. And when the time comes for us to actually make a decision that's just for us, for some reason, I feel like that is when it gets hard because choosing ourselves feels foreign. And sometimes, and you can agree with me or not, but sometimes for me, it even feels wrong. And I don't know, it's like this invisible pressure of getting it right. We want to get it right. And there is this deep rooted fear. I believe it's a fear of having regret or a fear of failure, a fear of judgment, or maybe just messing everything up. There's this pressure of that. And it even comes with the small decisions, like saying no to an invitation, or maybe if you're in business and you are wanting to raise your prices, or you want to change your routine, and everybody else around you depends on the routine that you're already in. Sometimes those decisions even feel like a little bit of a risk. And then don't even get me started on the big ones, right? That is like starting over, walking away from something, starting something new that's big, but let's get real. In midlife, where I'm at, or again, as you just get older, the stakes of our decisions start to feel higher. And it's not because we're incapable, but because we have lived long enough to know the weight of regret, the pain of getting it wrong. And we also know the ripple effects of our choices. And sometimes that can be messy. But here's the good news. What we also know is that we have lived long enough to have the life experiences to know the power of one brave decision. We know that our inner knowing can be spot on. We've experienced that before, but sometimes it just gets drowned out by the people pleasing, or again, going back to that fear of failure or playing small. So I want to really just dig into this today because what I'm realizing is it's not just about deciding, it's about becoming someone who trusts herself enough to decide, to be able to make a decision. So I want to pull back the curtain a little bit and share what's happening in my world right now. This year, so those of you that have been around for a while, you know that I chose the word bold. And I've really been asking God to help me make bold decisions and to walk in boldness, to stop playing small, let go of some of my insecurities because I've had a lot. And I also chose that word bold because I wanted to live a life that is meant for me, not the one that I just settle for, but the one that I've really been praying about and praying for. And then here we are. This opportunity came my way. Now, it happened at a time that I was actually leaving. I was traveling to go be a keynote speaker at a conference. And when I got the call and the opportunity, I kind of brushed it aside because honestly, it didn't even feel real. I almost brushed it off, like not just to the side, but like, no way, not me. That's for someone else. That's too big for me. Or I'm going to find everything wrong with it because that just is like, it's just something I can't wrap my brain around. So I don't know if that sounds familiar for you, no matter what the circumstance is, if it's something that's resonating with you. But here is something that happened is that there was this inner voice, my inner wisdom, that intuition, the one that says, you know, well, first, okay, let me back up. First, there was the inner voice that was kind of going, you're not ready, you're not worthy, you're not enough. And let me tell you, she was showing up really loud for me that particular evening. Now, the next day, something shifted and changed. And inside of me, that's where the intuition, that's where this inner knowing and this sacral feeling started to come about, saying, pay attention. This is yours to consider. And that is when I went, uh-oh, I have to listen. I have to listen because I am, I have promised myself to be aware and to be open to what God puts in front of me because for so long I lived my life that I wasn't. And I'm not allowed to publicly share the full details just yet, but let me just say this. This opportunity is completely out of my comfort zone. It's bigger than anything I've ever done, and it's stretching me in ways I didn't actually know that I needed. And here's the thing, I didn't want to make an emotional decision because I'm really good at that. And I also didn't want to default to fear because that is a huge default for me. And I didn't want to talk myself out of something sacred just because it felt scary. So, as I said, I'm walking through this right now. And the one thing that I'm learning right now is that we tell ourselves we need clarity before we move. But what I'm finding out in real time is that sometimes clarity actually comes from the movement. Let me say that again. I'm finding out and realizing, and I have chills just saying it, that clarity sometimes comes from the movement. And that is what I am feeling so big right now. So let's just call this what it is. We're not just afraid of making a bad decision, we're afraid of what might come after. So I talked about this earlier, but what I want to do in this episode is I want to really unpack the usual suspects, and that's what I call them, the fear of judgment. Usual suspect, what are people going to think? This is, this is so real in our world. And I'm not talking about just strangers. I'm talking about Susan from the PTA. I'm talking about your great aunt Susie. I'm using Susan. I was going to say your great aunt Karen, but that's not fair either. I hate to put names on it, but your great aunt Susie, your great aunt Karen, whoever it is. And then there's also that one girl from high school who somehow still watches all of your, your Instagram stories. Maybe it just is like peeking in and you see her. And then it becomes this whole thing, of the fear of judgment. What are they going to say? Are they going to think I'm selfish? Are they going to think I'm delusional? Are they going to think that I'm having a midlife crisis? I don't know. And let's be honest, even if you are having a midlife crisis, maybe she's long overdue anyways. Who cares? Right? And one of the best pieces of advice that I got a long time ago from one of my business coaches is she had said that she actually does not allow. So for those of you that are on social media that are, posting about life or what's happening, if you are intimidated by putting things out there because of someone that might be judging, she just doesn't allow them to follow her, even including some of her family members. And she tells them, listen, I don't want to be judged. We can have conversations and we can go there, but I don't want to not post because of the fear of you having judgment or you not approving of what I'm doing. So she just literally doesn't allow them to follow her. And it's kind of a known fact, but she swears that it changes her life. Now, I haven't done that with family members, but I will say I have done that with some people that I have known in my past that follow me, and I have not allowed them to because I felt like it was making me play small. And that's okay. We have to have our own boundaries of what it is that we're comfortable with. There's also another usual suspect, and that is fear of disappointing others. Anybody feel me there? Fear of disappointing others. This one runs deep for me, especially I think for mamas. We have spent decades being the reliable one, the strong one, the whatever you need one, right? That's totally who we are. So the minute we actually say, I'm going to do this for me, guess what happens? All of a sudden, we feel the guilt. All of a sudden, we feel like we're going to disappoint other people because heaven forbid you inconvenience someone with your personal growth, right? Not everybody is on your same path, and that is okay. But here's the thing. Do you want to know what's worse than disappointing someone else? It's disappointing yourself over and over again. That's actually worse, you guys. And then we have another usual suspect, and that is fear of losing control. What if I change this and it opens a whole can of worms? Look, I love having control as much as the next person. But at some point, I feel like we have to ask ourselves, are we controlling things or are we just clinging to that comfort because we're afraid of what we don't know? So I want you to ask yourself that question. Are we controlling things or are we just clinging onto the comfort? Because sometimes fear of losing control can be very unsettling. And then lastly, I would say the next and last usual suspect for me anyways is the fear of regret. Anybody ever worry about that? What if I make the wrong choice and it blows up in my face? Okay, but what if you make the right choice and it changes everything? I mean, as a side note, you've probably made questionable choices before. I know I have. And guess what? I survived. We have all survived them. You guys, even the bangs, even the bad haircuts that we had in grade school, even the toxic relationships that we've gotten ourselves into. Guess what? We're still here. We're still showing up. We're still glowing. We're still all of the things. But sometimes we have to go through the messes. And I want you to think about, yes, what if it blows up in your face? I mean, let me tell you again, in real time, I'm like, what if this is a huge flop? But what if it's not? I always say, I want to be able to live my last days, and that's going to be well into my ripe old age, God willing. I want to not have regrets. I have heard this so many times that people who are going through a terminal illness talk about having regrets that they didn't live life to the fullest. And that is their biggest regret. I don't want to feel that. I want to make the mistakes. I want to experience the messes. I want to experience the highs and the successes too. So don't let these usual suspects get in your way. We can reframe this. So if we shifted it the way we see moments, I think it could be helpful. What if, again, that decision you're wrestling with isn't just scary, but what if it is actually sacred? What if it's not just a choice, but it's actually an invitation in to rise, to expand, to trust? What if fear wasn't a stop sign, but it was actually a threshold? Let me ask you this. What if you're not confused? You're just scared to admit that you already know. What if? So let me just name maybe a few decisions because maybe you're thinking, what what is it exactly that she's referring to that might be living in your heart right now? Maybe it is just simply saying no to something that drains you. I don't know. Maybe it's walking away from a job that no longer fits. That's scary. Been there. What if it's launching a new business or a podcast? Been there too, right? Writing that book, going back to school. Maybe it's choosing to rest instead of hustle. Maybe you've been in the hustle and you're like, I just need to breathe and take some time for myself. And maybe that feels scary. Or maybe it's just saying yes to this wild, beautiful, bold opportunity. Whether it's, again, as simple as setting a boundary or as bold as walking away from something that no longer fits you, your next level life is shaped by the decisions you make when no one is watching. I always said that to my students. We talked about it when it came to integrity, talk about it with my kids. But for you, I'm also saying your next level life is also shaped by the decisions you make when no one is watching. So I'm going to just quickly introduce you to the DARE method. And I want to offer this as something that actually helps me when I start to spiral in my head and I start to overthink all of the things, second guessing myself, just like I told you I did it through my real life scenario. You know, texting 500 friends, hoping that one of them is just going to tell me what to do. And in this case, I wasn't even able to do that. Now, I was able to text my mom, I was able to talk to my husband, but I wasn't able to talk about it to all of my friends. So, if you're ready, let's just breathe together. And it's a little something that I call the DARE method. No, it's not like DARE. I always think of DARE for the don't do drugs back in the 90s, right? This one is actually for all of us grown women who are ready to stop doubting ourselves and to start making decisions like the very wise, powerful humans that you are. Believe that. You are powerful. You are wise. You are capable. So let's walk through this because this is exactly what I did with myself. So D, this is an acronym, of course. D is decide to listen to your inner voice. Get still. Get quiet. Put your phone down. Get off of social media. I am guilty. I had to stop scrolling for signs and to start just listening to my own inner voice. Because here's the thing, sometimes the noise of the world gets really loud. There's the opinions of others, there's the shoulds, there's reels that we see. I mean, there's all the things, right? But guess what? The whisper that you have that's in your soul, she might be trying to get your attention. Maybe she's been trying to get your attention for a while. And I learned that the hard way. I learned that years ago that she was actually there trying to get my attention. God was trying to get my attention. And I was ignoring it because the rest of the world was still so noisy. Just know that you may know. Just give it a minute. Give it some time because you're going to be amazed at what happens in the stillness. As a matter of fact, I just heard a friend, she has, she's really active on her podcast, and she had said that she was advised to do a 30-minute silent walk. And I'm talking like no music, no nothing, just a walk in silence every day. And it was suggested to her to do this for 21 days to see how that could change her life in the stillness. And oh my goodness, she shared how it changed her life, what happened in those 21 days. Now, I have not tried that yet. I just actually heard about that yesterday and I thought, that's powerful. I'm going to add that to my notes to share with you that maybe it takes some time to be in the stillness. Maybe it's not 21 days. Maybe it's for you just really, you know, anchoring in the silence and doing it for a few days to see what happens, to see what you hear. And then there's acknowledge the fear, but don't let it lead you. Fear's going to show up. More than likely, fear is going to show up. Always, or usually does, I should say. But instead of letting fear grab the microphone and narrate your entire life, Try just saying, "Hey, fear, I see you. I hear you. I know you're just trying to keep me safe because that's what fear does, right? This is how our brains work, is it's about keeping you safe. But this time, you tell that fear that growth is actually driving the car today. And that fear gets to sit in the back seat. You're not going to let that fear be in the driver's seat this time. Talk to fear. Again, it's in those quiet moments. Talk to the fear. And then R, remember we're doing dare. So R is remember your why. This is your moment to pause and ask, who am I becoming through this choice? Who is it? Because this isn't just about this particular decision, it's about the ripple effect, the woman that you're becoming. For me, it's the one that's starting to show up bold, to show up more aligned, to have freedom, because those are some of my core values. And think about, are you anchoring into your why? And if you haven't really done the work around your why, please reach out to me. I can help you with this. I have an amazing tool that I use for why, and it is so good, you guys. And let the why, when you get to the deeper rooted why, let that be louder than your what if. Let that be louder than your what if. And then E is embody one brave step. You do not have to walk up the entire staircase. You don't. You don't have to have a 5-year plan, right? I mean, of course, unless you're leaning into that, but you don't have to. Just the next aligned yes. That's it. And maybe it's just sending that email. Maybe it's saying no to something. Maybe it's just booking the call that you're afraid to make. Or maybe it's just speaking your truth. But it's one move that says, I trust myself and I've got this. I trust myself and I've got this. Because clarity isn't always delivered on a silver platter. Sometimes, again, like I said earlier, it shows up after you move. So it's making one step into the movement, and maybe that is when you start to see the clarity so much clearer. That is what I had to do. And if you're sitting with something really heavy right now, a decision that feels too big, too messy, too unfamiliar, try this. Try journaling or voice note or talking on your walk, whatever it is. I want you to ask this question. What would I do if I trusted myself completely? Don't overthink it. Just let your intuition have the pen for a second. Okay. And then dare yourself, no pun intended, dare yourself to believe that this next version of you, she's not just possible, but she's already waiting for you. And this is what I want to say, that we all go through moments where we're like, is this crazy? Am I making the right move? What if I mess this all up? If you're anything like me, you have probably played out every single scenario in your head 47 times while folding the laundry, driving in your car. But here is what I want you to hear as we close. And I want you to hear this as if I am your girlfriend just sitting across from you. I have a messy bun in my hair. I have a blanket. Maybe we have a cup of coffee together. I want you to hear this. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to take the next brave step. That's it. Okay, you guys, I can't wait to share with you what is unfolding in my life. I can't wait to hear what is unfolding in your life. And again, I've had the heavy things, the hard things and the hard being the very disappointing things, the things that wreck you. But I also have had the hard things that are scary and exciting and bold. And we're all going to experience these things. So if you're like, dang, I needed this today, please always feel free to slide into my DMs. I am on Instagram. I am at, and it'll be in the show notes, at joyful_Noelle. And seriously, tell me what it is that you're working through. I am happy to process it together like girlfriends do. It's not about pressure. It's not about fixing it. It's just really about being there for support, for love, because I see you and I get you. That's the thing. And I truly believe that the most beautiful parts of our story and of your story, they're waiting for you right on the other side of that big decision that you're scared to make. So take some deep breaths. You've got this. And maybe you're not going through it right now, but maybe you have someone else that is. Share this episode. We're cheering all of you on. I'm cheering all of you on always. That's why I chose to do this podcast, because I wanted to have our tribe where we get each other and it resonates with each other and we have each other's backs. So share the episode. Please, let me know if there's anything that I can do to help. You're going to see notes. You're going to see show notes that will have some different things in there for you. And you guys, I have a new journal. If you're looking for a journal that you're like, oh, I need a new journal that I want to write in. This is just a very simple journal on Amazon for super great price. You can grab one of those. I would be so honored. It is the Rise to Shine journal, and there's more to come on Amazon, but I do have a new storefront as well, which is super exciting. That's also in the storefront. And you guys, I just want to say, love you. Keep rising, keep shining, and know that the best is right here waiting for you. All right, you guys. Bye, friends, and I will see you next Tuesday. Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.